And we live. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. Um, Reason I'm calling you is because I've decided to start taking my content a little bit more seriously.
I see you've been popping up on everybody's feed.
I'm trying to make a name for myself.
Okay.
Um, but it's like doing something like this. It's like I don't know. I don't have that many contacts, so it's like I gotta talk to the people that I do know and like start conversations and stuff like that. So yesterday I did one with this girl that I met, and we were talking about dating and stuff like that. And we talked for like 2 hours. It was kind of cool actually.
Okay.
So with that being said, let me pull up some of the questions that I had prepared. Oh, that's a problem. All right, let me see. So the first one we have is let's see. So the first one's about finance.
Okay.
And so just talking about like, well, I don't know if you care to share your age. I know you're 22, but
Yeah.
for individuals who are getting into their 30s, do you feel like that was a or that that's a tough transition to make? Or like, do you feel like there's a difference between the two?
With finance wise, between my 20s and 30s,
Mm-hmm.
um, well, I'm still in my early 30s, right? I'm only 31, 22 for those who know. But people say that your 30s is just like your 20s, except you have money now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I feel like that's something that I look forward to. I feel like I definitely live more stable. Um, but like, you're wiser, you know what I mean? Like, but also the things that you're interested in change. Like in my early 20s, I'm going out, but like I still go out now, but just not as often. The things that used to be important to me is not as important now. You know what I mean? So like your priorities change. Um, but also like before I turned 30, like I not always, but I implemented like a budget and things like that in my late 20s. So I just like feel like since my priorities change, I'm more strict about sticking with it. Um, and just being very just good and vigilant with my money. So I feel like the transition was smooth only because it's just like my priorities are different and I know that, you know.
Almost like you're spending. Do you feel like you're not spending money on those like, going out as often, so you're able to save more money, or like you're able to spend money on things that are more important to you? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah. But I'm saying like I've always spent money on what was important to me, but the things that are important to me are different.
Mm.
So like going out and having fun and that was higher priority than it is now. Like it's cool, I still like to go out and do things, but instead of like clubbing,
Mm-hmm.
I like happy hour. I like try going to restaurants and trying food, which can be pricier or maybe the same amount of money, but I don't do that as often. You
Right.
know what I mean? So I don't know. So the things that I spend my money on are different. So I always spent my money on things I felt are important, but what those things are changed. But also like my work has changed, right? So I'm more into like a steady job, not even a job, a career now. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So my money's more steady. I got more money coming in. So the old bop it's and to be like, do it the same, but better.
Yeah.
And that's your 30s. You're just doing all the same things, but it's better. Like you got more money coming in. It's lit on this side.
So do you feel like in that way, like, do you feel like you're happy with where you are? Do you feel like looking back at like where you've come, you feel like you've made a lot of progress? Are you still like striving for more? Where do you feel like you're at within your financial goals?
I'm happy with where I am, but I there's always room for improvement.
Mm.
I set goals for myself um annually, like my New Year's resolution, but it's not like but they're like yearly goals or whatever. So it's funny because this year is actually like my all my goals are financial related. You know
Mm.
what I mean? I'm trying to clear up debt. I'm trying to I have an LLC, so I open things for that. Like I have a credit card just for that, things for like my business side, and then like my personal stuff, like debt being like tickets, because in DC, some
The
tickets
cameras
they
go
gonna
crazy.
get you. You cameras go crazy.
The cameras go
So like
crazy.
I have things that I owe with that, and so I'm just in like credit cards. So my goals this year is to clear up my debt, and like I feel like because I'm older, I have less distractions. So it's more, I feel like I will be achieving those things. And I already have, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
My first goal is to get my car fixed. Check. I'm trying to clear up one credit card in a couple weeks. Check. I'm about to be done with that. And like, so, but yeah. So I feel like, yeah.
If I'm being honest with you, I think you're in a place a lot of people envy, especially
um,
nowadays, because you have a little bit of stability. I mean, you have your job, but also when it comes to like your relationship and things like that, I don't think a lot of people, not people my age for sure,
yeah.
but even just a few years, you're only 5 years on me, right? So it's like,
Yeah. But in 5 years, a lot could change. You know what I mean? Because when I was your age 5 years ago,
mm-hmm,
you know what I mean? I wasn't in the place that, like, I haven't been in this place for 5 years.
right,
You know what I mean? So it's like that stability, the older you get, as your priorities change, you got more money coming in. And, like, you know what I mean? You become more content with yourself. But just because you're content with yourself, don't mean like the goal, you're always going to have goals, or you should.
mm-hmm,
You should never, I feel that people should never be in a place where, like, this is it, you
right,
know? So, but I wasn't always in this place. So where I am happy where I am, but there's always a place that I'm striving for.
for. And do you know what that looks like? Like I appreciate that you have that growth mindset, and I
Yeah.
appreciate even when hiring people, I'm always looking and asking for ambition to see if
Yeah.
they're good. But like, do you actually know what that looks like, or do you have a plan for what that looks like, or is it kind of like I'm gonna figure it out
Yeah. Like
as it
you,
goes?
I have a few things in mind. Like even though I'm making more money and I'm decent with my money, I still live check to check. You
Mm,
know what I mean? So I would like to be in a place where I don't have to live check to check. I can go out and I'm always calculating and doing math, as I'm sure everyone is. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is how much I got. I'm trying to do this, this, and this, but I have to buy this, blah, blah, blah. So you're always, so I know my money down to the penny. But I would like to be in a place where I ideally don't have to do that. And I'm not saying I want to be rich and blah blah blah, so I can just swipe. Not, I mean, realistically, like just being a couple checks ahead. You know
right.
what I mean? Or, like sometimes when you're younger and like your parents be like, or like mommy would be like, I don't have no money, I'm broke. But then they buy something and you be like, I thought you said you had no money.
Skeptical.
You know what I mean? Like, you was lying or what? Because it's like people. I feel like that's smart to have your zero not be zero.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't have any money. When I say it, I literally mean I have $0. But I want to get to a place where I always have a certain amount. So to start, I say I always want to have at least 500 in my account.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get close to that $500, then I start screaming, "Oh, I'm broke! I don't got no money,"
Right.
because that it's almost like having an emergency fund, and that's something I haven't been able to accomplish. But that is also one of my goals. So I want to get far enough ahead of myself where I don't need that $500 cushion. That because every time I put it there, I end up touching it
Right.
because I end up needing it. But
Right.
I want to get far enough ahead of myself where it could just sit there. So when I get close to that number, I could be like, "Oh no, I don't got it. Sorry, dog. Sorry, big boss."
I like that.
Um,
I think it's valuable because that just comes with financial literacy. Just knowing like
yeah,
what are my expenses and how much am I spending. So
right,
if this is how much I'm spending in a week, then this is how much I should be able to save, and this is how much I should have just in case an
right,
emergency happens and things like that,
right.
which not enough people do.
Yeah. So I do want to get, and they also say like you should save like I don't know if it's like 3 months worth or 6 months worth of your bills or like your rent or something like that.
I think I've
Um,
heard both.
which I feel like that's hard. Like that's something that's hard to do. 3 months worth, even 3 months worth is hard. Like my finances, like I need about just my bills when it comes to just utilities, rent, my car. I need like 3 bands a month. And I'm not even including food and gas. When I say my car, I really mean like my note
Hmm.
and insurance. So if I need 3 bands a month, like that's 9 bands. I'm supposed to just have 9 bands, or you know what I mean? Or 18 bands to 6 months worth. Like that's a big number
Right. And I could see
to
myself
save
spending that.
while you're also paying that.
Right, right. Like I feel like I could see myself saving that, but then seeing how I could put that money to use and spending it before it ever becomes like an emergency fund.
But I feel like I just wonder how long it's gonna take me to save it, because when you're saving, you still have to pay your bills.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like I can like not pay anything for 3 to 6 months and then start clean and I
Right.
have this, you know what I mean? Like so it's like that would take me a very long time to achieve.
I remember
Like I
reading
would
a
need,
book called Richest Man of Babylon, and it was a broken down. Essentially, it was a storytelling book, but it was based around finances. So all the stories were based in finance.
mm-hmm,
Um, and one of the chapters was talking about how to get out of debt just by saving 10% of everything you make.
mm-hmm,
So like no matter what, at least 10% is staying with you.
yeah,
And then the rest of it might be going to debts or going to make sure that your bills are covered.
everything, yeah.
Right. Let me ask you another question though, based on that. So
Mm-hmm.
again, into your 30s, you feel like you have a little bit more stability, and also your priorities took a sharp change, or not. I wouldn't say sharp, but now you're more in line with your
Yeah.
priorities. What's your take on women being financially independent by themselves versus relying on a partner? Because now you are in a relationship, and does that have
Mm-hmm.
an effect on your pockets?
Um, it has a okay. I think women should be um, financially independent, um, in a relationship or not. It's important, um, because it's not my situation, but like I'm not fully financially dependent on my partner. But if, let's say, if I was, I feel like it's important to still have my own something on the side, because if for some reason, if we were living together, like I need to get out, blah, 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 that's important, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Not that I'm banking on my relationship to fail or whatever, but like you never know. People never know in their relationships, and that's in general.
Mm-hmm.
But like for me, um, being in a relationship does affect pockets for both people in the relationship, because me being in a just a very heteronormative, just your typical relationship, and I put that in quotes because relationships look different for everybody, but we go out, we do things, he's paying for everything, you know what I mean? So that does affect my pockets because I don't have to spend anything, you know what I mean? So I have the pleasure of not bringing my wallet if I didn't want to, or things like that, which I'm forever grateful. But so I'm able to do these experiences and still have these experiences, but still pay all my bills and whatever, whatever. And I feel like if I was paying for things majority of the time, I would still be able to pay my bills, but it will also affect my free time because I will have to work a lot more to do both. You know what I mean? Like I still have money on my own to do things here and there, but I don't have a lot of just, I don't know, free money. I have some, but I don't. So I recognize in my very heteronormative relationship, he needs to, now he doesn't need to, but he does. Um, he pays for, when we're together, he pays for everything. And forever grateful again. Um, so that's how it's affected me, but in a positive way. You know what I mean? Like because it gives me the opportunity to save It gives me the opportunity to accomplish some of my financial goals this year of like paying off credit cards and clearing up debt and stuff like that. Because the money that I'm using for that, I'll probably use to like go out and things like that. However, that's only when I go out with him. If I'm going out with my cousins and my friends, it's 100% my own. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like, can I get money so I could go out? Like, there's nothing wrong with it because I know people do that, but I don't know. It's just not me.
I feel
So
like that's valid. And I think, that's a conversation that you probably have with your partner to
yeah,
decide how that's
yeah.
going to shake
But
and
we
break down.
also don't live with each other. So you know what I mean? So I can imagine once we live with each other, I would like that would change. I can imagine it would change. I wonder how it would change, but that would be a conversation for us to cross that bridge once we get there.
Yeah.
We get there.
Reason I asked is because, as you know, I told you, but I just got out of a relationship where the expectation was that we were going to be going half, only because we
Hmm.
weren't sure how serious the relationship was going to be.
Right.
But then it quickly dissolved into me paying for everything,
Right.
which I have no problem with because, again, I feel like as a man, that's what you're supposed to do. Like,
Right.
I feel like, I mean, in America, definitely that's the kind of social norm. But just in the way that I was raised, I feel like as a man, those are the kind of notes that I was taking in. Like, okay, as a man, you're supposed to try to provide for your family and things like that.
Hmm.
So I had no problem with it, but it definitely had a big effect on not only me but like the relationship as a whole. As soon as that dynamic switch from, oh, like I got my money, you got your money, to now like I got our money and you got your money. It's like
Yeah.
it's different. So
Yeah.
definitely interesting. Um,
No, I 100% support like I know some people do the 50-50 thing. I know some people like he pays everything and then I contribute in different ways where, you know, wherever that looks like. But I 100 like what I feel like whatever works best for your relationship, that's
mm,
your relationship. You know what I mean? So it's like if someone else is like, nah, that doesn't work for me, as long as you and your partner are cool with that, like that's your business, you know what I mean?
right.
But I do support like women or men, anybody. Like I do support you having your own money or you know what I mean? Because financial abuse is a thing and just being completely fully dependent on somebody, that sense of autonomy like that takes a toll on like somebody's confidence, their mental, you know what I mean? Even if you're not realizing it at first, to be fully dependent on somebody, like my independence is something that like I cherish. And some couples, like even married couples, like they have their own bank accounts and then they have a joint account that they add money to. So this is for the crib, that food, kids, everything. It doesn't matter. And then we got our own on the side. Like I feel like what it's important to know what works for you when it comes to like relationships and stuff. But I feel like you should always have your own. Yeah.
In regards to that, like, because from the outside looking in, it might not. You're saying like, yeah, you're happy with where you are, but at the same time, you're still striving for more, and you still have
Yeah.
the goals to do more. A lot of times, you don't see that from the outside looking in, especially
Yeah.
like on like social media. Or if you didn't tell me that right now, just seeing you like just last week, it's like I wouldn't assume that. Do you think that like in regards to social media especially, but just like nowadays, do you think that there's a pressure to have like at least to give off the feeling that you have everything all together, and that like it's you can't let people see the cracks in your shield. You gotta make sure that you look good on all fronts. Do you think there's a
Um,
more pressure, especially as you age, like getting like crossing that
I
barrier?
think that 100% exists, but I don't think it's with social media. I feel like people felt like that before social media. You know what I mean? Like when we leave this house, gotta be, you know what I mean? We're not about to be fighting in front of people or whatever, whatever. And that was, I feel like people thought that way or valued how they presented themselves or how their families presented way before social media. I think social media exacerbated it, you know what I mean, and made it because everyone's so focused on Like, yeah, I always got my, I don't know, my hair, my nails done. I got this car, I'm flashy, I'm this and this and this. And which is cool, that's your business. But then I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's nothing wrong with feeling looking put together in front of other people. Like, because I feel I don't know how to put this, but like, yeah, put yourself together. Don't come out here looking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like if you, when it comes to like materialistic things, like I don't know, like having your nails done or your lashes done, if you can't maintain it, then don't put it once and let it fall apart. Just don't do it until you can. Or I do think it's important that you look presentable. You have your hair done, brushed at least. Not saying that you need to have a whole bust down, this, that, and the third. You don't need all that. If you can, cool. If you know, but there's other ways to look presentable. So, but I also feel like it's okay that the world knows you're human. You don't have to pretend. It's a balance. I think, yes, I want to be presentable to the world and some things should be kept private. Everyone doesn't need to know that I'm struggling with this, that, and the third. But also, you can kind of ground yourself a little bit and be like, yeah, things are going well. I'm trying my best, but I am struggling in a few areas. I feel like it's like a tightrope. Like you're just trying to,
Keep the
um,
balance.
yeah. And not to say that I'm trying to portray something that isn't true, you know what I
Mm,
mean? I'm just not broadcasting it. So you see me, I'm whatever, we're cool, we just focusing on what we need to focus on or doing what we need to do. But it's like that doesn't mean, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I think also with people, not just the people who are being portrayed, but it's the people who are perceiving. Like there's, you have to be careful of things that you're assuming of other people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just because I got my nails and hair done, don't mean you, like I may have to ask somebody to go pay for that for me, and I owe them, I'll pay them back. You know what I mean? But you assumed, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like you need to check. People need to check within themselves, like why are you doing this, or why you want to do this, and then but also people who are perceiving it be like, did you assume that? Do you know that as a fact?
Right. The
Yeah.
reason I ask that is because I do feel like there's a pressure, especially if you're gonna start taking social media seriously, and it's a there's a pressure to make yourself look a certain way so that you can get
Yeah.
the views, so that you can get the attention, because that
Yeah.
does tie into making a living in the space. But at the
Right.
same time, I feel like being your true and most authentic self, right? And so it's like I like to talk about like what I'm actually experiencing, and
Yeah.
some people like don't like to step into that vulnerability.
Yeah.
Um, Let me ask you about your friendships. Do you feel like friendships are easier to maintain or like build like
No.
as you go? Like how do you feel about that space?
Um, Friendships aren't easy. I feel like as you get older, they're harder. You know what I mean? Because you're in school with your friends every day. You see them every day. Your only job is school, right? So you just go, you see your friends, you chill, you go to class, you see them after class, you see them, whatever, whatever. So it's easy to maintain something with someone that you see regularly.
Mm-hmm.
But as you go older, you go to college or not, you know, you go your separate ways. People have different paths. So to maintain that same friendship takes a lot of work because now you got to make time to see this person. You got to make time to talk to them and things like that. And then as you get older, as you go to school, as you go to work, it just gets harder and harder and harder. The busier you get, the harder it is
Mm-hmm.
because we all have to maintain our own lives. You know what I mean? So then, me, like, I moved out of state. So, me maintaining my friendships is even harder
Mm-hmm.
because you're not a part of my daily life anymore.
My
Even
ecosystem.
more so because I left. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So, it's like, I'm telling you stories about my life and what I'm dealing with every day. These people in my stories are not people that you know, they're characters. You know what I mean? So unless you meet them or whatever. Um, so you have to be intentional. It's hard to maintain
Those
adult
friendships.
friendships.
Yeah.
You got to schedule time, and if people cancel, whatever. Like I, Carolina, me and Carolina have been friends for over 20 years, and we literally schedule every Thursday at 5 o'clock, a phone call between the two of us. And
I
we're
respect
not
that
good
though.
at it, but we talk and we talk for a couple hours, blah, blah, blah. And we try to keep up with it as best as we can. I did talk to her this past Thursday, but for the last 2 weeks, we didn't talk. Because 2 weeks ago, she was like, can we move it to Friday? I'm like, yeah, no problem. It didn't happen. Then next week, I texted her, I had homework to do. I'm like, can we move it to Friday? She's like, yeah. It didn't happen because one, it's not in my calendar. I've reached a point in my age. If it's not in my calendar, there's a high chance it's
It's
not
not gonna
happening. I
happen.
have to put it in my calendar.
Hmm.
So it's in my calendar for Thursdays. It's not in my calendar for Friday. So when we moved it, if you forgot, I forgot. It's, whatever. But it's intentional. You know what I mean? Jaleese and I have also been friends for over 20 years. And we don't have a scheduled time to talk, but we try to talk to each other at least once or twice a week. But it's hard because our schedules are different. I don't have a stable schedule, neither does she.
So let me ask you this. If you were to try to build a new relationship or new friendships, like how would you go about doing that in your current lifestyle?
Like new friendships and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I have built new friendships. And I just meet these like my coworkers, kind of, if you could say that. Because I freelance, I don't really have coworkers because I work for myself. But you see the same characters over and over and over. Like I see the same interpreters over and over and over. And sometimes you have ongoing jobs. You get to know people well, and then again, you have to be intentional. You want to hang out on our free time. You want to, I have certain interpreters I'm friends with, and we've gone out. They come to my birthday party. I go to theirs. We text. I've watched one of my coworkers, well, interpreter friends. She has a son. I've hung out with her son. I babysat for a short amount of time. Things like that. So it has to be intentional. I feel like it's hard. It depends on your personality type. It is hard,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess it happens naturally, but also with effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing's just free.
Yesterday I was talking to Yeseline, and it seemed like nowadays, just as you said, the easiest way to meet new people is through work.
Yeah.
And we're
Because
talking
work
like,
is the new school, right? You meet all your friends
yeah,
at school,
but I
so you
hate
go there
that.
every day.
I really
Yeah.
hate that. And so we were talking about ways that, especially nowadays, ways to actually meet new people. Dating apps came up, and I'm like, yeah, people use those for crazy. Like, people try to sell. I remember I paired with some girl, and she was trying to, she was like a lawyer or something, and she was just trying to find, like, people to work for. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. Like, this is a dating app.
And I feel like dating.
So, like,
dating
I
apps-
just feel like it's difficult to meet new people. And I was telling her, I feel like we need to do more. We have to have third places, because nowadays people work and then they go home and then they go back to work. And it's like, I feel like I should only be going home to sleep or to rest. I feel like there's got to be a third place, or maybe like a book club, or like
And
something
there is,
that I need to start
exactly.
putting
If you
myself
join
into.
things in the community, like if you're a part of your community center or something, you have a hobby, you go to Zumba every day, eventually you're gonna make friends with the people who are consistent with their Zumba.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People go to gym, people make gym friends all the time. They make library friends, and you make friends where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not in a place often enough, then if you don't go nowhere, you're not gonna make friends. You're not gonna meet people.
Right.
So you go to work every day. So you're with these people every day. Is that consistency? That okay? I'm in this place. You're in this place. We see each other 5 days a week. We're bound to become familiar with each other. Whether you make enemies the same way. You can't make enemies with somebody you don't meet, right?
Right.
So it's like, so if you're going to work home. If you do something else, like join a club, join a support group or whatever, then you'll make friends.
Have you tried to do anything like that? Like, aside from like work and then home, have you like gone to join any clubs or anything like that?
No, I did a book club once, but it was just me and my cousins for real, so they don't count. So it's not like with people I don't know, or even when I do other things, is with people from like my interpreting circle or like my deaf friends that I met at work or at school, and I just happen to still be friends with, even though I'm not in those spaces regularly.
I see.
But I don't really, no, I don't do anything outside of work and home, or like Javon, like going to my boyfriend's house, being with his family and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like for me, it's different when it comes to work because I don't do the same thing every day. So that brings a little bit of spontaneity. It brings a little bit of like a little bit of an unpredictable. I don't know who I'm going to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't know what I'm about to walk into. So that kind of leaves room to foster like new friendships and relationships. So, but if someone who does the same thing every day, it's harder.
For me, in my work, you know, I work at a gym, so I'm at the same place day in and day out. But what I've noticed is the gym is that place for a lot of other people. So like they work whatever job, but then their third place would be where I work. And so like you see people come in and it's more of a social thing, and you see people meet there all the time, and boom, boom, boom. Have you had that experience where you're at the gym and you meet some people, or like you've met some people to work out with or anything like that?
That would require consistency in the gym. I went to the gym in Javon's building. It's a gym, and a lady started chatting with me, and me and her was chatting. I ain't been back since. It was nice though. Shout out to her. She was cool though. I'm trying to think like where I would go. I don't know. Javon goes to the bank, like the same branch all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of knows the people in there. I wouldn't say that they're friends. He spends 5 minutes in there, but they know him. It has that layer of familiarity, but that's him. I'm trying to see for myself. I don't think I go anywhere where somebody's like, how you been? I ain't seen you in a minute. You know what I mean? Not since I moved.
Yeah.
Not since I moved. Places like that before I moved would be like the corner store, you know? Like everybody knows it'd be the same Poppy in there, like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Blah, blah. Or like the bank.
Yeah.
Even now, it's different now, but when I used to call the bank, they would see my number, be like, I don't even, you know, the bank be like, what's your mother's maiden name? What's your date of birth? I would call and they'd be like, hey, Ashley. I'd be like, hey.
Oh, nah.
I'm just calling because I need to raise my limit. Like, they didn't verify no information. They would just do it because they recognized my number or my voice or whatever. It's not like that no more because a lot of those people retired. Mm-hmm. So they'd be asking mad questions. I'd be like, who's this? You knew? So they'd be like, what's your mother's maiden name? And I'm like, you know my mom. Y'all know my mom. So I don't know. I don't have places like that here, though. Not yet, at least. Or maybe never, because I've been here for a minute, so.
The last kind of question that I had was based in religion. And you feel like, I don't know, as you've gotten older, do you feel like that's changed? Keep in mind, we only got 3 minutes left on this call. So. Okay.
Like my relationship with religion?
Yeah, like do you feel like that's changed as you've gotten older?
I will say I feel like I've gotten further from religion. Mm-hmm. I feel like my beliefs are the same, but I feel like when we were kids, it was shoved down our throats so much. I'm not interested. I'm really not. I'm not anti, you know what I mean? But like it's Lent right now. Everybody's like, yeah, I gave this up for Lent. I'm like, oh, I don't do that. I don't. Mm-hmm. First of all, I've never been successful even when I was forced to do something. Not fully, or like, I don't know. But I have an issue with organized religion, not due to my own experiences, but like just being more knowledgeable about just growing up, being more knowledgeable about the world. I'm reading more. I've done research. So I just feel like organized religion, there's a lot of flaws. Nothing's perfect, but right. I'm all set with organized religion. But I also don't do much on my own. Like I'm not at home reading the Bible. I don't pray for real. I won't say never, but not for real.
Few and far between on the prayer sessions.
But I feel like I pray more now in my relationship because like he prays before every meal. His mom, I spend a lot of time with his mom. His mom prays before every meal. So I'm like, oh, I'm at the table too. Like, all right, we got this. I'm respectful of it. You know what I mean? I'm not anti, like I said. It's just, it was so forced on us when we were kids that as an adult, I'm more like, well, no one's making me, so I'm not gonna. But you never know, as I get older, that might change again.
Fair enough. I appreciate you for taking this call with me.
This is interesting. The light just got very dark in here. Let's see.
I'd like to do this again in the future. Maybe I could come up with some better questions.
Yeah, this was cool. We got off with the finance tip, but it was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. It definitely helped that you had questions because I didn't know what to expect. Real.
Yeah. So again,
All right.
appreciate you.
No problem.
Have a good evening.
You too. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.